Hello, welcome back to Gobliins. We still need to transcend the Statue of Serenity with Gemmelor the Dragon's Fire. But to do that, we're going to have to figure out why the man-eating bridge isn't interested in our dismembered foot. That's a weird sentence. Anyway, it turns out the problem is that the foot isn't cooked. And while the bridge is willing to eat our characters raw, it's got slightly better taste in deodorized foot meat. So we just have to offer the foot to the dragon, and he makes a fine meal of it. Or she, I have no idea. Anyway, the bridge should now be happy to receive our offering. And we can now safely cross it. There are only two things of interest over here. One of them is a bone, and as we all know from various movies and other video games, a bone makes a perfect torch for carrying fire from one place to another. In this case, that doesn't actually work. We're going to need to use this sword over here to carry the flame instead. Or rather, a dagger, which is about the size of one of our characters. I guess it's never really established what the size of the characters is, because they're smaller than most of the other people they meet. But if they are, that's a pretty tiny dragon. Anyway, only the handle of the sword gets lit up, and so we can safely carry it by the blade, and return to the statue with the flame we need. At the very least, once we get here, the first thing we need to do is pretty obvious. We need to put the flame into the statue. But having done that, there's not really any indication of what we need to do next. But if you remember, the whole point of this exercise was to break the curse on the king. So we just need to step up onto this hand, plop the voodoo doll down, and let the statue take care of the rest. The key also is fairly simple. We need to stick it into something, and there's only one something on this screen. And that doesn't really appear to do anything immediately. The statue opened its eyes just for a second, but now it's going to use its power on our characters as well. There's not really a whole lot of precedent in this game for having to make the characters stand in a particular place, and no indication on this screen that it's what you need to do. But sure enough, each of our characters needs to get zapped into the next level. I'm pretty sure anybody that actually got this far in the game had a hint guide by now, because otherwise this would be one of the most frustrating experiences ever.
Since the king comes back to his senses, the three elves, following Shadwin's advice, go off in search of the supreme weapon.
It was really handy having the text in the floppy version to tell me what that guy was saying. Not that it really matters that we're going after the supreme weapon, because that information doesn't help us here. We need to get inside this building, and a scary book is not going to help us. So let's check out the other books. This may be one of those cases where we just need to find the right one of the identical objects. This is a booklet. and it seems to be very embarrassing. So the third one's got to be the charm. It's a volume. Nope, that one's just sad, and none of them have any useful effect. This guy over here seems kinda out of it. And not happy to be attacked. Perhaps our magic will cheer him up. No, of course not. It's everything else in the room that matters. We've got a little yellow cube over there near the ladder, and we've got a little red dot at the top of the other ladder. And all of those things are, in fact, what we need here. So we'll get these guys out of the way so that we can see what exactly it is that Dwayne does with a bar of soap. Alright, the guy wasn't very impressed with that, but at least it didn't take off any of our health. This is something that I think is random. There are 3 things we need to do to this guy. I don't know if we need to do them in a specific order. But usually one of them works, and then the other 2 will have the desired effect. There we go, he finds the false nose funny. But not funny enough, and he just goes right back to being angry. And he laughs a little bit longer this time. So we need a third thing that'll make him laugh. And the answer has probably been staring you in the face the whole time. The bunch of bananas is not just there to prevent us from getting to that tantalizing lever in the corner. We can also get one of the bananas. And as tasty a fruit as it might be, in this case we need to use it for a slightly different purpose. And apparently our friend here has laughed hard enough to break whatever curse turned him into a beast, and finish writing his book of witchcraft. Apparently witchcraft is funny. But having gotten the book, that doesn't really advance our goals very much. We still need to get into the castle. And that was surprisingly easy. Yeah, we don't even need the lever, we just throw magic at the door and it opens. The rest of the game is going to go in a similar bent, I think. We have a giant with a cork in his ear, blocking access to the right side of the screen, and to nobody's surprise, we're going to have to get past it somehow. And of course, if we don't stop Dwayne, he's just going to walk right into that finger over and over again. We don't have the health to survive that. So can you see the pixel that represents what we need to do? The good news is, you target that shield with magic, he'll still cast his magic on that little thingy sticking out of the ground. It's a lever. And as usual, just to give Bobo something to do in this screen, we need to punch it. And that gives us access to the cork in the giant's ear. Yeah, pushing it further into his ear is not going to benefit us in any way. So now the giant can hear. And we've only got one thing worth hearing, I think. Well, that cheered him up, and now he'll let us get over to the right side of the screen. And at the moment, there's not really anything to do over there. This is one of the trickiest puzzles in the game, I think. Because another pixel up in this tower hides some bait. And we need to take the bait to the right side of the screen, where something may be hiding behind the roof of that tower. It's one of those perspectives that reminds me of games where the tower actually has a roof that goes all the way around, but it's open so you can see inside. In this case, I'm just going to leave it there and take the bowl with me. And, oh, there we go. I thought maybe I'd positioned it badly, but the monster has come out to look at the bait. It doesn't actually do anything to us. It's not a threat in any way, which is surprising for this game. Let's see what happens if we attack the monster. Absolutely nothing. It's like it doesn't even exist. And I honestly don't know whether there's some kind of actual mythology. The story sounds a little familiar to me, but there's a specific thing that we need to do to this monster. And it involves something you may not have noticed when we used the witchcraft book on the giant. See, in addition to laughing and moving his finger, he also sheds a tear from laughing so hard. And when we collect that tear in the bowl, we now have a bowl of tears which we can throw at the monster. And it just seems like I've heard something like this before, but I can't think of what it could be. Meanwhile, that has given us a catapult, otherwise known as a slingshot, which is the supreme weapon. I'm not even kidding. But hey, we've got the supreme weapon. What do we do with it? Well, first things first, we're gonna get rid of those bananas. The supreme weapon. And finally, we get to take advantage of that lever that was staring us in the face in the previous level. It looks like it's there to open the door of the castle, but it's really there to open the other door, which was just hiding a fish. I guess the fin looked a little bit like a shark the first time around, but nope, it's a fish. And I have no idea how that buoy got into the water there, or why it wasn't there the first time. It does absolutely nothing for us. We just need to have all three characters standing on the fish, and it will take us on to our final confrontation with the wizard.
Set off downstream towards the underground caves, where the wizard is poisoning the bowels of the earth with his infamous potion.
I don't know what disturbs me more about that narration. The fact that the music pretty much drowns it out, or the fact that it seems like the narrator forgot he was supposed to be talking for the first half of that scene. Anyway, the most obvious thing to do is fight magic with magic. Unfortunately, the wizard's got a powerful foot, so when he kicks, we gotta hit back twice as hard. Alright, clearly we need to attack him with something that can hit at range. It's time for the supreme weapon. Alright, that didn't have quite the desired effect. And now Dwayne has been captured, and we only have control of the other two characters, but fortunately there's a convenient rope we can climb to get to him. And something has gone really wrong with the sound, suddenly. Alright, I'm gonna fix this. Okay, I had to quit the game to get the sound working, but we're back. We've got full health. Let's deal with this wizard properly. Okay, so the rope is out. We need to find another way to the top of this giant bird skeleton. And once again, it's something that looks like a background element, but is in fact interactable. Now we just gotta go up there and deal with that gargoyle. Well, we've only got two options here because our inventory user is out of commission. But just turning into a different form doesn't seem to have helped all that much. And in fact, we can't even get to him now because the side that we can reach is just his hard turtle shell. We're gonna have to get around to his face somehow. But with the gargoyle out of the way, we can actually now make use of that rope. The supreme weapon. Excellent for cutting ropes. And I'm not kidding, that's almost all you ever do with it. The rope is, of course, something that Bobo can climb if we attach it to the correct point. And these hooks in the background may look like just decoration, but nope, that's very important. Although I'm gonna have to get Dwayne out of the way so that I can get Bobo to the rope. Alright, and finally we can punch the turtle in the face. I don't know how that made him change form. But at last, the last of our characters has been captured, so once we finish with the wizard this time, it seems like we should be done. But alas, we have left Bobo in harm's way, and it's an instant game over. So, one more time from the top. Shoot the wizard in the butt. He captures Dwayne. Raise the ladder. Turn the gargoyle into a turtle, which then captures Hooter. Shoot down the rope, pick up the rope, attach the rope to the hook, climb up the rope, and punch the turtle in the face. Spider captures Bobo, dangles him, so we just need to go pick up the slingshot, and use it the way it was meant to be used, to cut the rope. And that's freed Bobo, so now all three of our characters are available to deal with that spider. Naturally, punching it doesn't do anything, but we've already seen that shooting it with a slingshot does turn it into something else. And congratulations, we've reached the beginning state of the puzzle. The good news is that with everything in place, we just need to attack the wizard over and over again to get him to the right point in his cycle where we can break out of it. This really doesn't take as long as it sounds like it would. And conveniently, I've already located Bobo right where he needs to be. So now all we've got to do is cut him down once again, and then we'll have to find a way to deal with the wizard when he turns into tiny spiders. Now he fell down to the ground where Bobo is standing, so we'll get him out of the way first of all. And now we'll use the other item here that I've just been kind of ignoring the whole time, even though your eyes have been drawn to it because it's so colorful. An empty bag, which clearly is the perfect size for catching 3 little spiders. Now of course, if we go out there and shoot him with the catapult, we won't have time to get down there and grab the bag before the spiders escape. So it's time for Hooter to go into action. And now we just have to quickly pick up the bag before they escape. And for some reason the game makes us use the bag just to prove that we've got it. And we have trapped the evil wizard. Congratulations, us. And that's it. We beat the game. And there's no ending narration or anything. Just the goblins or elves or whatever you want to call them riding on a cart. And the wizard in a bottle. And people throwing hats in celebration. What look like a couple of guys in blackface playing trumpets. I don't know what that guy on the left is doing with his hands. But yeah, that was the first Gobliins. It's an experience. It's not a particularly good game. It's not a whole lot of fun, and you'll be beating your head against the wall for hours unless you just look up the answers to the puzzles. Sort of like trying to inflate a wooden wagon wheel, I guess. Just doesn't work. But at least enough people had enough fun with it that they made some sequels, and the sequels are a heck of a lot better. They solve a lot of the problems that this game had, and introduce a lot of really fun mechanics. Although the puzzles are still just as fiendish and will hurt your head just as much. But we'll get to those when we get to them, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll begin Gobliiins 2.